This is the Football Podcast with your hosts, Tyler, Andy, and Boyer.
Welcome back to Fantasy Football Podcast, presented by all three of your performance-enhancing dads.
Yay!
Welcome back, Boyer. Don't die on us now, Boyer. Stop.
Don't do it.
All right.
Oh no.
There he is. All right, we're good. Woo. All right. Well, anyway, welcome back. Congrats on the new house. Congrats on not dying during your little sickness there. Me and Andy had you held down, so we're good to go. So
yeah, I appreciate the effort that you two boys put in. It's been some solid content the last couple weeks. I'm actually a little jealous because I think it was better than when I was part of it. So, I gotta try and show up, make my presence known here, I think.
And we kept last week under an hour, which we never do with you.
Honestly, I think we did 2 out of the 3 under an hour.
Right. So my goal is to make sure this is over an hour to keep that streak.
We're already off to a good start. So
yeah.
Go ahead. You're going to host us tonight. So let's see if you can keep this thing under an hour.
Yeah. Well, so let's go to trades. There's really only one trade here. Ty moved Tyreek Hill to Jeremy for DJ Moore and 10 draft dollars in 2023. Andy, I'm gonna ask you what your opinion is on the trade before we go to Ty.
I thought it was pretty good. Obviously DJ Moore had a rough week, and with Darnold being out, we don't really know what the rest of the season is going to look like for him. But I mean, Ty is motivated for 2 things right now. 1, to be better for next year because he's awful this year, and 2, to not be the worst this year so he can keep his pants on. So trading Tyreek Hill away obviously makes his team worse, but picking up DJ Moore isn't bad. And then getting the $10. Ty talked a little bit last week on the podcast about how he's got a bunch of pieces that he could sell if he wanted to go full sell, but he only had $7 worth of wiggle room left in his budget for next year. And the $10 he got was all 2 years from now, which historically has been valued a little bit less. Not a lot, but for Ty, it made sense. So I thought it made sense for Ty. I think it was good. Jeremy needed to make a move. We talked a lot last week about how good Charlie's team was. So Jeremy adding what has been the second best receiver behind Cooper Kupp, even if he is a little up and down, I think was a great move for him to keep him competitive in both his division and wild card. So good for both teams.
Yeah. Ty, how do you feel about the trade?
I wasn't mad about it. I expected to beat the duo last week. Having Tyreek Hill would have helped. But I didn't expect my team to pretty much shit the bed outside of that. That Wentz to Pittman combo didn't help whatsoever. DJ Moore shit the bed. Gesicki laid an egg. So having Tyreek Hill would have helped me in that situation. But who would have guessed the rest of my team would have just absolutely fallen apart like that?
I would.
Jeremy did send it to me. We talked. He said, "I'll give you DJ Moore and $10 whenever you want." So I could have split it to 7 and 3. I could have gone 5 and 5. I could have split it however I wanted. But knowing that the rest of this week I have the chance to at least make a trade to cap off 2022. And even then, if I don't cap off 2022, I'm still going into the offseason with 223, which is the high end right now. So even if I stop with where I'm at, I'm still on the high end. And I've got up to 214, I believe, for 2023 at this point. So I'm moving in the right direction, and I feel comfortable with where I'm at. Hopefully I'll feel more comfortable if I can beat Boyer this week. So what did you think, Boyer? Was it good value at least?
Yeah, I thought it was good value. I know you struggled getting other teams to pay out in 2023, and you still have players that I think the rest of the league is going to be willing to dish out 2022 for. So I'm okay with the 2023 dollars, even though we tend to value a year out a little bit less. The one wrinkle I'll put in here is that Jeremy traded Allen Robinson at $8 draft for DJ Moore. And then he flipped DJ Moore and 10 draft dollars in 2023 for Tyreek Hill. So Tyreek Hill for 8 draft dollars in 2022 and 10 draft dollars in 2023 plus Allen Robinson. What are our thoughts on how that has come up? Is that an overpay for Tyreek Hill? Is that about what you would expect him to go if he just went outright for Tyreek?
I mean, I think we all agreed I overpaid for Lamb last week or 2 weeks ago, and I paid Bateman in 14. So Jeremy gave Allen Robinson, who has, in my opinion, less value than Bateman, because Bateman could be a breakout guy. He could be keeper value for $1. And then $4 extra for Tyreek Hill. I think that compares pretty well to what I paid for Lamb, but I think we all agreed that I overpaid for Lamb. So somewhere it makes sense, but it's a little high range. He also bought high on DJ Moore, and then he's been not quite as good, and the situation has changed with the quarterback. So it's rough timing on Jay's part, just on a buying high and selling low aspect. So it wasn't exactly, I mean, I don't think anybody was going to give him $8 for DJ Moore now. So a little bit of lost value there.
I got real lucky that I was able to get that for DJ Moore, because he's been hot garbage, and it doesn't look like he's going to be much better this year based on his quarterback play, which is rough because honestly, DJ Moore, he showed us that taste of how good he can be if he could just be fed the ball consistently. So that's a little rough, but good stuff, guys. Let's go to Andy. You've got some stats to share with us, I think, next.
I do. So one of the questions posed in the group chat this week was, have we ever had a week where nobody cracked 100 points? And I think we all kind of went, I don't think so, but we're in year 11 of the league, so it was worth looking into. So I dug it up, and we have, before this week, never had a week with 0 teams over 100. Only twice have we ever had a week with only 1 team over 100. 2013 week 12, Charlie put up 124, and he was the only one over 100. And 2016 week 14, I was the only one that went over 100 with 111. Total points in those weeks, because I'll reference some of these stats later. 1017 in the one with Charlie, and 980 in the one in 2016 where I was the only one. So pretty low scoring weeks all around, obviously, if only one team's cracking 100. But 124 for Charlie and even 111 for me felt like pretty good scores. So one of the other things that I dug into that we'll get to a little bit later was, what was the lowest high score of the week that we've ever had. But while I was looking at the count of teams over 100, I will say that 5 times we had 8 teams over 100 in a week. 2018 week 4, 2018 week 6, 2019 week 8, 2020 week 2, and 2021 week 6. So all of those within the last 4 years. And then our historic week that we kind of got into a little bit, what was it, like a month ago, where we blew our total points in a week as a league out of the water. We did have 9 teams go over 100 for the first and only time in league history. So that's the mark to beat. But this week, nobody went over 100. In fact, nobody went over 95. Charlie was the high score with 94 and change. 94-24. I was second highest with 94 on the nose. Prior to that, our lowest ever high score was in 2013 week 10. It was 106.06. So we just shaved 11, almost 12 points off of our best high score, or worst high score, in the last going on 11 years. So shit work, people. Do better. Interesting note, in the week where we had 106 as the high score, 3 people cracked 100 that week. So that was interesting. What else we got? Yep. So that was in 2013 was the old bad high score. 2011, we also had one that was just shy of 107. And the next lowest one after that was 109. So really, aside from these 3 weeks, we've always been 109 or better for the highest score. And despite the lack of high scores this week, this was not our lowest scoring week ever. That still goes to 2017 week 1, where we only put up 915 points in that week. And we talked about that on one of our earlier podcasts. But this week we put up 970. So good 55 points higher than that really, really bad week from 2017. So could have been worse, but it was still pretty ugly.
Yeah, I think the difference this week was that the naked teams, the bad teams, didn't really go on too far under 60. I mean, 60-ish was where the worst teams were at, so it kind of gave us a decent floor. And that's interesting to me because I feel like we have a lot of teams vying for naked right now. We've got me, Duo, Walker, Ty to a certain degree. Andy's team has flirted with it, but we don't really know what his team is yet. I don't think his team knows what he's yet, but he's flirted with it the last few weeks. So it's interesting that no one's hitting like 30 points or trying to go for that record. So I think that's interesting that we had such a horrible week, but also not.
Yeah, that's fair.
Ty, any thoughts?
No, I'm with you. The fact that nobody was down in the 30s, 40s, made a difference because we've had weeks where our seasons where that becomes pretty common that we get 3 or 4 weeks where there are guys in the 30s, 40s, 50 points, and nobody's at that point right now. So definitely help keep that the low score up a little bit. So
yeah. So next segment, I think it's not on the sheet, so I'm a little disappointed. But Ty, I want to know what your favorite segment is.
Wow. What you drinking?
Ty, what are you drinking?
Coors Light.
Oh, the sponsors.
Ooh, he's double dipping these sponsor checks.
Ooh.
Mountains are blue. I'm drinking water.
Well, I'm still in the garage, so the garage is cold, and
that's fair.
The beer doesn't get hot right now.
All right, so Ty's getting sponsor money. Andy's trying to lose weight still. I've got Blue Moon tonight.
Oh, good choice.
Blue Moon.
Good choice.
All right, let's move on to matchups. First matchup we have listed here is Andy versus Charlie. I'm actually going to list it off for Ty here before I get
real quick.
Oh,
Let me do last week.
First off, we're not listing it off for Ty. We're listing it off for all the listeners because they want to know these lineups.
Because the listeners also forgot their computer at work.
All right, go ahead and talk us through last week, and we'll ignore that I forgot my computer at work.
So last week, Boyer gamed a game on you and I because he picked Jeremy to beat Colin. And I don't know that any of us thought that was going to happen even halfway through the game Monday night, but it happened barely. Jeremy won by the skin of his teeth. So that was the difference maker. Boyer had 4 right. Everybody picked Chris to beat me. That didn't happen. Everybody picked Ty to beat Duho. That didn't happen either. And then we all picked Friar, Paul, and Charlie to win, and they did. So totals on the year, 36 for me, 32 for Ty, 37 for Boyer.
I knew I shouldn't have picked myself last week. Although if I didn't sell Dak and Lamb and Tariq Hill, that's another 60 points in my lineup that I all of a sudden don't have.
Well, that's on you.
On the roster.
It was absolutely on me, for sure.
You got damn near $60 out of them, so you can't be too mad.
Right. Anyway.
All right, so we'll move on to matchups for this week. Ty, because you didn't forget your computer, but I want to read it off to you in case you can't read.
Right, yeah.
I'll read off the matchups here before I go to you. Looking at matchup, I got Charlie's got Lamar. He's got Keenan Allen, Godwin, Eckler, Elijah Mitchell currently slotted in, Kelsey, Devonta Smith at the flex, and then he's got a kicker in a defense. Doesn't look like any strong contenders for his flex. Devonta Smith or Corey Davis, real quick. Who do you got, Ty?
Smith. I just don't trust the Jets. They're playing garbage time, throwing the ball, but Elijah Moore's taking over some. Crowder's getting some. I mean, I don't trust the Jets. I don't trust Davis. I don't trust Smith either, but whatever.
Andy, I assume you've got the same.
I mean, Devonta Smith's been hot, so I don't disagree with Charlie's decision to start him as he's got it slotted right now. But I do kind of want to put Corey Davis in there. Back when we were doing these every week, we kind of talked about floor versus ceiling. I feel like Corey Davis has a pretty solid floor. Devonta Smith, when he's been bad, has been pretty bad. And Charlie ought to have a pretty solid advantage on me in what the expectation is in this week. So what you don't want to do is put it in a guy like Devonta Smith who can get you 20 points that you don't need, but then ends up giving you 13 yards, and I am right back in it because a guy you thought was going to get you 9 points got you 1. So something to think about. I lean Corey Davis for that reason.
I'd also like to make an argument that if by chance Jeremy does catch Charlie, and Charlie's fighting for wild card, though, those 20 points that he doesn't need may be
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. And looking at my team this week, he's probably fine either way.
All right, fair enough. Boyer, what do you got?
I think I'd start the hot player there. Going to Andy's team, he's got Herbert, Mike Williams, CeeDee Lamb, at running back, Kenyon Drake right now, and he's got Nick Chubb in, who's on the COVID list. I'm assuming he's coming back this week.
That's the hope.
Dalton Schultz at tight end, Elijah Moore at the flex, and again, he is doing a good job starting a kicker and defense. He does have Claypool as an option for that flex spot. I'm going to lead off there. I think I would probably start Claypool personally against the Chargers. The Chargers defense has been a little leaky. I think Claypool could have a decent week if he plays, but I don't trust Jets, kind of like Ty. Ty, what do you think?
Is Claypool going to play?
He's listed as questionable, and he's got a projected starting. So he was out for week 10, but no word on week 11 yet.
Okay. I also think part of me is going to say it depends upon who the quarterback is for the Jets. Because Zach Wilson, for some reason, targets Corey Davis, so that might also help Charlie. Where these backups have been getting Elijah Moore the ball in garbage time. So I think I'd leave Elijah Moore in and give him a shot to get a touchdown or two, where if the backups are playing, I think he could be targeted more because it seems to be that way. So I don't know. I don't know what to do with him and Crowder and Corey Davis, but I think I'd leave Elijah Moore right now with hopes on the upside, because I don't know if Claypool is going to play, and if he does, what he's going to do.
Yeah, I am not super excited about Elijah Moore this week. He did do his damage this last week in garbage time, but being on the Jets, there's going to be garbage time more often than not, and he's been averaging 65 yards and a touchdown over the last 3 weeks, which would be 12.5 points. And I would love to have that out of my flex, but I'm not banking on that by any means. But with Claypool's injury and it being more of a week-to-week injury than just he'll for sure be back this week type of injury, he's not one that I'm looking to start. Pittsburgh has their own quarterback issues right now with Big Ben having COVID. So unless something catastrophic happens, I don't see any desire for me to start Claypool this week. I'll give that a week.
I think that's fair.
I think another question on my team, if you guys want to at least entertain it, is the Baltimore defense against the Bears or Miami against the Jets. They're both on the road, if that matters.
I mean, Miami's defense has been hot enough lately, but I just don't trust that Bears offense.
That is my thought too. Baltimore also hasn't been great as a defensive team this year.
But there's a team that's led by Matt Nagy. That makes any defense look good.
Hold on, but if Zach Wilson starts and throws 4 interceptions, because that's what he does.
Also true. See, this is why we talk about these things, guys.
I think it depends upon who the quarterback is, because honestly, I think if they throw Zach Wilson and you play the team that plays the Jets.
I'm leaning toward playing the Dolphins defense regardless, but I wanted to hear what you guys had to say.
I don't know. Mike White could be either the second coming of Jesus or he could be the worst quarterback ever. So I think that's just gambling. It's just rolling the dice. Just let's see how you feel, Andy. Is the table hot?
I'm playing Miami most of the time anyway, but I had to throw out the Zach Wilson trash because
you own him in Dynasty.
Yeah, and he's been bad.
That's for you, Dynasty folks. Don't say we never loved you.
All right, let's move on.
Charlie.
We'll go on to
Charlie.
Yeah,
we did Charlie first, didn't we?
Charlie first.
Oh,
yeah. So I was going to say, let's go on to predictions. Ty has Charlie. Andy?
Charlie.
I would really like to win, please.
Can I throw in a caveat?
Sure.
If by chance Andy buys a player that of big name,
Charlie's still gonna win.
Because there's no inside information, or
listen, I'm just saying. Andy's been on the rumor mill of maybe still trying to buy. I don't know.
Full disclosure, I asked Boyer about CEH. I asked Chris about Melvin Gordon. I've reached out to
Ty about Saquon.
I also asked you about a few other players.
Not this week.
Yeah, I did. We talked about Gesicki and
Oh, I just figured he was more of a throw-in piece. Oh yeah, you're right. Never mind. Moving on.
Yeah, we talked about. I see that I am 2 games out of wild card with 5 games to go. I also see that there are 7 teams ahead of me and they're all 2 games ahead of me. So it's not like I only have to close 2 games. I have to close 2 games 4 times over because 3 of those people are going to end up winning divisions. So I think it's highly unlikely that I win my division because the gap between me and Robbie is effectively 5 games. So he's going to have to lose at least 4, if not all 5. And I'm going to have to win all 5. But I got to win all 5 to make playoffs anyways. But I get to play Boyer. I get to play Duo. And I get to play Charlie this week, which isn't good news for me getting a win, but it is good news for me moving up if I do get a win. So same with Fryer and Robbie.
So Andy, who's your pick for this week?
Charlie.
All right, I'm
just saying I would really like to get a win, and I am looking to potentially add a player for what will very likely be a consolation run, but
yeah, Andy, your team is in a weird spot. I'm going to pick Charlie as well.
I do like Lamb and Schultz against the Chiefs. Not that they're going to be able to dig me out of this huge hole I'm looking at, but I like that matchup.
I can see that. All right.
What do we got next?
Next up is going to be Jeremy and Chris. I'm going to take this one so that way Andy can take me and Ty's matchup. Going at Jeremy's team, he's got Matt Ryan against the Patriots. Barf. Jefferson, Lockett, Tyler's favorite player. Elliott. Which Freeman is this?
What matchup are we looking at here?
Baltimore.
Probably Devontae. With
Devonta
Baltimore.
Freeman. Yeah.
Okay. Mark Andrews, Tyreek Hill, and then he does have the Tampa defense against the Giants and the former running back 2 kicker, Young-Soo Koo.
He's got Mixon off a bye on his bench, so he'll be playing him over Freeman for sure.
It's a good bet. Any other? He's got Kyler Murray, who was on the fence of starting last week. If he starts, you got to play him, right? Regardless of if he's coming off injury.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think he's gonna have it because they have a bye week the following week or whatever, right?
Yeah. So you
they
think
haven't had the bye yet?
Yeah, you're right. This is the last game before the bye week.
So he's probably
I don't think he plays this week, especially with the Rams losing this week. They're sitting nice right now. Why risk Kyler Murray coming back and getting hurt?
That is a really good thought process, Ty. Let's see if it actually happens. But I think if he plays, you gotta put him in your starting lineup, especially against Matt Ryan against the Patriots. That doesn't look good. So
he picks up somebody else. Matt Ryan will not be the starting quarterback on the weekend. If he is, Jeremy, get your shit figured out.
Matt Ryan is our quarterback.
I do disagree a little bit with they'll just sit him because it's a division game, even though the Seahawks are 3-6. Division games matter for things like tiebreaker, and the Rams are only 1 game behind the Cardinals, so this isn't one that they can afford to just roll the dice with their backup.
But they've looked good. I mean,
they've been fine. But I don't think that this is one that they're going to play it safe. If he's good enough to play, he's going to play.
All right. I think that's pretty much all the discussion as far as Jeremy goes. His lineup is relatively set. Chris on the other side, he's got Prescott, Devontae Adams, A.J. Brown, James Robinson, Alvin Kamara, assuming he plays. Yes, Andy. I'm sorry.
Can we talk defense again? Jeremy's got the Patriots defense on his bench, and he's got the Bucs defense slotted to play the Giants on Monday night. Patriots go up against Atlanta, and the Patriots have had double digits 4 weeks in a row. They've been getting sacks. They've been getting picks. They've not been really allowing points. If it was me, I would play the Patriots on Thursday night.
Is Saquon back this week or not back this week?
Who knows? It's a Monday game. Nobody's going to tell us until it's way too late. Because he's got to make that decision by the Thursday night game.
Right. I think that makes a big difference. So if we think Saquon's coming back, I think, and the Bucs run defense was good, but they've been eaten up by a couple running backs lately.
Yep.
So,
and Dan Jones, for as much as my brain associates him with turnovers, has been pretty good with the ball this year on the whole.
It's
so
better for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see the Patriots, especially.
I would play the Patriots, but if you're playing Matt Ryan and you're playing the Patriots, that doesn't seem very productive.
Yeah, so that's fair.
Hopefully, you're picking up a different quarterback,
right?
Like Kyler Murray. All right. Going back to Chris's team, I'm going to start over. Prescott, Adams, A.J. Brown, James Robinson, Kamara if he plays, Hawkinson at tight ends, McKissic at flex is what he's got currently. He's got Dallas right now as his defense. I assume that's going to change. Melvin Gordon's on a bye, so he doesn't have him available. Jamar Chase should slot in probably in the flex. Any other thoughts with that team going forward?
Just that Chris is really going to be hurting if Kamara sits, although Collins might get another week because there's a lot of questions about Chris Carson coming back because it's a neck injury, and the last I heard out of Pete Carroll was not super promising. So I think Yahoo projects that Chris Carson's going to be back very soon and do very well in fantasy, because I was looking at a lot of the projections and I was like, that one is well off. So
yeah, I think that's kind of a luxury for his team. Kamara is, battling his injury, but having Collins, who will most likely start in the near future, is a huge benefit for his team going forward, just to be able to make sure he's got, a decent starting running back that's not going to just goose him. So obviously you want Kamara back, but Collins is more than capable of filling in and, getting him fantasy points to help win him weeks. So I think that's helpful for him. Ty, thoughts?
No, I think you guys covered it.
Good. I'm glad you don't have any thoughts.
I try not to.
All right, winners for this week. This one's kind of tough to me. What do you guys think?
I'm gonna take Chris.
So much of it depends on if Kyler plays. Because the difference between Kyler Murray and Matt Ryan is huge. I think Kyler plays, and I'm going to give the edge to Jeremy.
I think a lot of it depends upon Kamara too, right? I mean, like you guys were saying.
That's very true.
There's a question mark on both sides. And if Kyler's out and Kamara's out, then it levels things out a lot.
Yeah.
But as is, if Kamara plays, I'm not banking on Murray being back like you are. So I'm going to say Chris is going to get it. He's got two good wide receivers. He's got Dak. Hawkinson can't be bad all year, right? He's got to finally have a game at some point.
Not my problem anymore. Sorry, Chris.
Goff is still his quarterback last time I checked.
So I'm going to give Chris the edge. I'm not saying the matchup looks nice and that we have any clarity on what's happening right now, but the way I'm looking at it with Murray out and Kamara being possible to play, I'm going to give Chris the edge. I see issues on both sides right here, though.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Chris on this one. I'm going to assume both Murray and Kamara play because they were kind of on the fence last week anyway. And if they both play, I think Chris has just a slightly more complete team and that he'd get the dub. Sorry, Jay.
I would have just assumed you were going to pick Chris because I picked Chris and we picked the same players every week.
Yeah, except that one matchup that gets me an extra point.
There's only that one time.
All right, Andy, can you take us through me and Ty's super shitty matchup of the week?
If I have
Talk to yourself. I have a good team.
Tell that to last week. All right, Ty has the dynamic duo of Carson Wentz and Mike Pittman Jr. He's got disappointing DJ Moore, got DeAndre Swift, Antonio Gibson, Mike Gesicki, T. Higgins, defense and kicker. On the bench, we got Bateman, Zach Moss, Saquon Barkley, Kenny Galladay, Evan Singletary, Donovan Peoples-Jones.
My bench sounds just as good as my starters.
I was about to say the same thing. I think this bench is pretty solid. Your starters are questionable, though. So real quick on Swift, I was looking at his stats. He cracked 50 yards prior to the bye week once. He had 51 yards in week 5, and his high for carries was 14 against the Ravens in week 3. And then against the Steelers last week, he had 33 carries for 130 yards. So that was like 2.5 games worth of effort there out of him. So he's probably tired this week. I just want to throw that out there.
Swift gets a lot of catches too, though. It's not his game is not all carries.
I know he's not getting 20 catches a game. It's still a lot of work for him.
Sure. And he still couldn't win.
Sometimes you just got to take what you get. So looking here, Wentz and Pittman have Buffalo, which sucks. Yep. And unless you want to drop Peoples-Jones, I don't know that you're getting off of Wentz this week because like we said, your bench is solid. If I were you, I would drop Peoples-Jones and pick up a quarterback because I don't want to play Wentz and Pittman against the Bills. I'd roll with Pittman because he's been good, but beyond that, I don't know.
But if Pittman's going to be good, Wentz has to be good.
I mean, Pittman can have a fine enough fantasy game with just one touchdown, and Wentz has to do more than that. And I don't know that I'm banking on that.
70 yards and a touchdown for Pittman is fine, but that's 70 yards and a touchdown for Wentz isn't good.
And even just 70 yards isn't killing you. But if Wentz puts up 150 and no touchdowns and a pick, like that kills your whole week.
Right.
So Ty,
is that not the same duo as like Dak and CeeDee Lamb that I started the year with?
I don't think so. It is no bed and breakfast, to be sure.
All right.
So Ty, I'm actually going to kick it over to you to ask what roster decisions you're toying with, because we could talk about every guy on your bench and whether or not they deserve a spot in your lineup. So is there any that you're wrestling with right now? Obviously, Saquon's health is going to change a lot.
So I wrestled with Moss and Singletary last week, whether or not I should play either of them. But Moss and that concussion issue, I wasn't sure about. They've been splitting enough work lately that I don't know that I really want to start either of them with Gibson and Swift and Barkley.
Right.
I was in debate on moving Higgins in over Pittman or DJ Moore and throwing Saquon along with Swift and Gibson in my starting lineup. Mm-hmm. So I think for me, a lot of it comes down to playing 3 running backs and which wide receiver do I sit? Is it DJ Moore? Is it T. Higgins? Is it Pittman? You know,
right.
I've been going back and forth with that most of the week between yesterday and today when looking at it. So that's kind of where I'm at. But Saquon playing on Monday makes it tough. But I think he's playing this week. I don't think it really. I imagine he's playing, which makes it a play. But I have no way to adjust if it's not the play.
Right. I think I want DJ Moore in this week. The quarterback situation blows, but Washington's secondary also blows. So I feel like I want to roll the dice there. But yeah, you're just hoping Saquon plays, and then that makes a lot of your decision making go away because if he's playing, you're playing him.
Right. So you bench Higgins at that point then?
Yeah, I think I would.
Yeah,
I think I'm okay starting Pittman against the Bills defense. He gets enough volume that he should have a fine floor, even if he doesn't have a good week. He's not going to kill you. I think Wentz is the only one that I really want to get away from in your lineup right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you should know enough information on Saquon by Saturday that you can make an educated decision. Right now,
I never make educated decisions. So
right now, not knowing if he'd play, you're playing me. Like you could sit Saquon and be just fine this week. So like I wouldn't want to play Saquon on Monday night and then have him get 0 points. Like go get some points from the positions that we're playing and you will most likely beat me. And by most likely, I mean, damn near 100%. So
don't say that because I thought I was going to beat the duel last week. Don't say that.
Yeah. So for me, I think is if there's any question on Saquon on Saturday, then you bench him and you just take your points where you got him. And if he plays and puts up 20, that sucks. But at least it's nice to know that you're playing me and not somebody who matters.
Right. You matter because otherwise, if I don't win, I can be naked.
This is a naked game. Walker's watching this one real close, guys.
This is like Arizona sitting Kyler Murray because it's a rivalry division game, right? Like they have to play him, right? Like
right.
I practically that, yeah. This is the Tyler Bowl.
It is.
Which historically has been me, but we'll see. Andy, run through my wonderfully assembled team.
So you've got Tannehill, Jarvis Landry, Brandon Cooks, Michael Carter, Mark Ingram, Pat Freiermuth, Allen Robinson. You got McManus on a bye in Vegas defense. Guys, did you know that Benjamin is on a roster in our league and it's Boyer's roster? You look at Ty's bench and then you look at the first guy on Boyer's bench and it's fucking Benjamin. He plays for the Cardinals. He's a running back. For all of you who are confused and scrambling to look him up on Google, I'll do you a solid. Benjamin, Cardinals running back. He does have a touchdown this year. You got Judy on a bye, Cousins, Jamal Williams, Clyde Edwards-Hilaire's hurt. Travis Etienne is even more hurt. So those guys don't matter this week. There's really no decision making on your side other than are you keeping Brandon McManus on your bench while you drop Benjamin to pick up a kicker?
Yeah, so I am. I picked up off of like just a shot in the dark. He had like 9 carries the week before when Edmonds was injured. I was hoping maybe he would have a decent enough role that I could, flex play him or something like that going forward.
I feel you. I just wanted to give you shit.
Yeah, it didn't work out. It's fine. I got to take as many shots in the dark as I can. In this case, he will be dropped for a kicker or defense.
You should take.
To be fair, you had Dernis Johnson the week before those injuries all happened.
See?
So I couldn't even overpay for him in the FAD bidding because you had snagged him the week before. So sometimes getting the no-name guys works out. This week it didn't. Boyer owns Eno Benjamin.
Hey, Cousins versus Tannehill. Thoughts?
I got to go Tanny, I think. Cousins against Green Bay's defense is really good this year. And not that the Titans are going to run the score up on the Texans, but I do not see a world where you're starting Cousins against the Packers over Tannehill.
I'd agree.
Okay, that's where I was at too. I just wanted to make sure I'm not completely stupid because my team looks like it's stupid.
Back to taking shots in the dark. You should really take your shots. If you're making photos in the light, you can change them to black and white after.
I did that. All right. Winner this week.
I got Ty.
I hate saying me because every time I pick me, I lose. But me?
Yeah, I am going to go with Ty as well. I think that my ceiling is super capped and his ceiling is much higher. So he should be able to win this one. But we'll see how his team actually plays.
Hey, Ty, if you're looking to add a quarterback this week, I talked to Boyer about Cousins.
Hey.
It's better than Matt Ryan on Jeremy's team.
It's true. It's pretty slim pickings. Go get Cam Newton. That guy's good.
He'll run a touchdown. I get at least 6 points.
That's more than you can say about Wentz.
All right, so
Wentz gets at least 9.
He got you 7 points last week, bud.
That's more than 6. Math checks out.
All right, so we'll move on to Fryer and Paul. Ty, I'm going to run through the teams real quick.
Yeah, for all the Google listeners.
For all the Google listeners, that's right. So Paul, he's got Josh Allen, Deebo Samuel, Metcalf, McCaffrey, Dylan at running back 2, Goddard at tight ends, Deontay Johnson at wide receiver. He is playing. Well, he's got a kicker on a bye, so that'll help a little bit. He's got Kupp on a bye, and Jones is out for 1 or 2 weeks. He does have Mahomes against Dallas on the bench, and he's got Gronkowski on the bench, who's currently listed as questionable, but I'm not sure he's going to play. So, assuming Gronk doesn't play, he's playing Goddard. Otherwise, it's probably flipped if Gronk is super healthy. So Mahomes or Josh Allen, which just sounds like the stupidest freaking start-sit decision in this league. What is this league doing right now?
Yeah, I feel like Paul would have been much better served spending that money elsewhere, but the rest of his team's so good. He should have got Kelsey, because looking at the comparison of these two teams, that's where Fryer has the advantage. So
we haven't gotten to Fryer's team yet. Hold on.
I'm sorry. Fryer has a good tight end. Spoiler alert.
Josh Allen versus the Colts, Mahomes versus the Cowboys.
I am going to take Mahomes, and everybody's going to disagree with me, but I am a believer in the Kansas City Chiefs.
I think I'm actually going to take Mahomes as well. Not because I believe in the Chiefs, but because I believe in the Cowboys.
Or don't believe in the Cowboys.
Well, no, I believe in the Cowboys offense. I think Dak and CD and Amari and Zeke are all fine options. And if they can all score, and we're worried about the Colts scoring, not that the Bills haven't been known to run up the score, but I think the Chiefs have to continue playing hard through the end of the game, where the Bills, who the hell knows what that game is going to look like. So I think I would play Mahomes anyway, just for the sake of, I think it's going to be a higher scoring game.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I'm actually going to choose Mahomes as well. So that's weird. But I actually, looking at the Cowboys defense, they've been good at creating turnovers, but they have been giving up a lot of big plays, which, if you know the Chiefs, is kind of their calling card. So I think Mahomes has a fine game here. I think Josh Allen and the Colts will be a little bit more of a slugfest. Josh Allen has struggled a little bit more recently, and Mahomes seems to be catching his groove a little bit. I think that continues. I'm going to go with Mahomes.
Fair. I support
there you go,
that.
Andy. For all of us going to disagree on that one.
You're right.
Well, we'll all be wrong together.
All of you listeners comment about who you think the better option is, because all of us analysts are terrible. So
I think they're all going to agree with Andy that Paul should have spent his money somewhere else. Anyway, we'll go with Fry's team. He's got the GOAT at quarterback, the Evans stack, McLaurin, Dalvin Cook, David Montgomery, George Kittle, James Conner at flex, who's been a stud, and then he's got kicker and the New Orleans defense against Philadelphia. Looking at his team, he's got Emmanuel Sanders, but I don't really think that that's a really good option as far as over McLaurin or Evans. Ty, what do you got for me with those names?
I mean, I think I'm good with where he's at.
Yeah, I don't see anything that I want to pivot to on his bench.
So yeah, going off of one of Andy's previous rants where it was, put your money on your starters. Fry's team's got his money on his starters right now.
For sure.
So we'll just go to who wins. Paul.
I got money on my bench.
Fry.
And how's your team?
Fry is projected by 8 points more. Keep in mind, Paul still needs a kicker.
Yeah, that's true.
Ty, who you got?
Who do the Bucks play off
the Giants Monday night?
Giants. Yeah, I'll take Fryer. I think that combo will be all right.
Yeah, I'm considering it at least. Fryer catches Paul on a good week, and Paul's team's still stacked. So, he's only saying so much, but he gets him when Cup's on a bye. He gets him the week that Aaron Jones is doubtful. Not that Dylan can't do work, but and then Dallas Goedert had a concussion and left the game last week, so he'll probably be fine on Sunday. But if Paul's dealing with multiple question marks at his tight end options, that's not ideal. And Fryer's got some good matchups, so this is going to be a good matchup this week. I gotta go with Paul. I think this is close. I think Fryer's competitive, but I think that Christian McCaffrey being back is a big deal, and that is more than enough to have Paul win this week.
So, real quick, how mad am I that I just moved Dylan to Paul?
Hey, I did that with Chuba too. I literally traded him the week before the injury.
Paul's been bugging me for the last 6 weeks to get AJ Dillon. And I finally was like, all right, screw it. I'm selling. You can have Dylan. And now, because I literally was like, let's make a contingency clause that after this week, I'll give him to you because I might need him. And then he's like, no, because Jones might get hurt. I need Dylan now. Otherwise, I might be able to make the move. And I was like, all right, fine, screw it. I'm probably not playing Dylan this week. I moved him. That fucker, Paul.
See, what you got to do is you got to structure that trade as, your $2 or $3 or whatever you got for him, but then also have $1 kickback for every time he starts him. So that way, if the injury happens, you get a little bit of that gravy coming in because you're losing out.
I'm not happy about it.
So despite Paul's good fortune and finding his handcuffs rather than drafting his handcuffs, as Andy has so eloquently told us,
he figured it out in the end.
He's 6-4. He is missing his one of his best players in Cooper Kupp. He has some question marks. I think Fryer's got, it's going to hurt a little bit. He's got a good team right now. So I'm going to go Fry.
Wow. That's twice that you guys have picked against me this week. That's interesting.
Hopefully don't let us down, guys, because we need to catch up.
You guys always let me down. So
all right. we'll go to Jeremy and Chris coming up next. Not Jeremy and Chris, Duo and Colin. Sorry, I got to read the document right. So Duo and Colin. Do we really want to break this one down? Because it looks pretty lopsided, but we'll go with Duo's got Derek Carr, Gallup, Jones, one half of the Chiefs running back core with Darrell Williams, Jordan Howard, because he's a thing again, I guess. Zach Ertz, Vance Jefferson's on a bye in the flex. So looking at his team.
Did you look at the Duo's bench yet?
All right, so Duo's bench, just in case you're all not looking at it here. Duo's bench has Sutton, Woods, Ridley, Sanders, Carson, Thomas. Despite the injuries and inactives there, all the other ones are on bye. He literally has 0 people on his bench who have any projected points. So looking at his flex option, I think that Vance Jefferson is his best option. What do you guys think?
Vance Jefferson is his top option right now. I gotta assume that they're gonna feel okay with dropping probably Robert Woods. I can't imagine there's a lot of keeper value there to add a guy to start this week. But on the flip side, for those of you who can't see what we're all looking at home, Colin currently stands as a 15.5 point favorite. And Colin doesn't have a quarterback in his lineup yet because Stafford's on a bye. So I don't think it matters. Do whatever you want, Duo. Good luck, guys. I'm cheering for you. You have been dealt a shit hand over and over and over again. It's just been a bad luck season for you guys all around. So good luck. I'm sure you'll find something.
You guys could play Van Jefferson and Colin could play Stafford and they could connect.
It's true. Everything Stafford doesn't do goes right to Van Jefferson.
All right, so we'll move on from the super difficult conversation of who to start in the flex there. So Colin does have Matt Stafford. He's got Diggs. He's got Patterson, who's currently listed as questionable, only projected at 4 points. So I assume that that's going to change at some point. He's got Taylor and Harris at running back, Waller at tight ends, Hollywood at the flex. He's starting a kicker and a defense like Duo is. He does have some options on his bench. He's got Hopkins might come back from injury. Don't know. Waddle against the Jets. Ayuk against Jacksonville. And I guess in a pinch, maybe Nyheim Hines against Buffalo. Any changes? I mean, obviously this is going to be a little dependent on injury. But if Patterson's out, who are you starting?
I think Patterson's out.
Yeah, even if he's not, fuck that guy. I hate quarterback.
I mean, if Hopkins is back, you're starting Hopkins. If not, I'm playing Waddle.
I think I lean toward Waddle even if Hopkins is back. Between the Murray injury, the fact that Hopkins has been banged up, and they have a lot of mouths to feed, Colin's got other options to where you don't have to force Hopkins back into your lineup. I'd give it a week to see how he's looking, even if he comes back. So that's where I'm at. I think I play Waddle. Patterson, I agree. I don't think he plays this week. They have the Thursday night game, which isn't doing him any favors. So beyond that, I don't see a whole lot of lineup decisions on Colin's side aside from getting a quarterback in there.
Yeah, so this is really between Waddle and Ayuk, assuming, let's say, Hopkins and Patterson don't play. I don't think you can go wrong in this matchup, considering that Duo doesn't have a person that he can put into his flex.
I feel like Ayuk's a little more boom bust and Waddle's a little more floor play. So back to that old argument, Colin wants to just keep a high floor and let the Duo's team implode as it has continued to do unless they're playing tie.
Yeah, I think that that's probably the best bet is that you go with your high floor. I know that Waddle's done a little bit better with Tua, if I recall right. And so I'd probably go Waddle. But it's interesting because preseason, Ayuk was the darling, and we're not even picking him as like a last resort option on Colin's team. So
Colin has so many good receivers.
That blows my mind a little bit.
Ayuk was the darling to some people, not to some of us. All right. Debo's always been the guy.
I think it's that nobody expected Ayuk's crazy fall.
Yeah, that too. Yes.
He's in the doghouse with the coach too. Like, I don't know what happened there.
I think
I didn't see Debo being this good. I just figured he'd be the number one.
Yeah, I think is that the point was that we kind of expected a 1A, 1B situation, not a 1 and 4 situation.
Right.
So
yeah, that's true.
If you look at it, the Niners' goal was to hit 40 rush attempts last week, or Monday night, and as soon as they got up on the Rams, they ran the ball. That Garoppolo only threw the ball 17 times or something like that.
I think 18 of them went to Debo.
Right. So I mean, it's even that if they get up this week, they're going to run the ball. There's not going to be a huge pass volume. So even this week, I wouldn't play Ayuk anyway.
All right. So I think we all agree though here. Colin. Andy, bring us home with Walker and Robbie.
Yeah. So for those of you not privy to all the information we have, Walker is currently in last place, trying to keep his clothes on. Robbie is currently in first place, the only team in the league with a 7-3 record. 6 teams tied for second with 6-4 though. So with that context, we go to Walker's lineup. He's got Aaron Rodgers, Amari Cooper, Hunter Renfrow, Tony Pollard, Leonard Fournette, Kyle Pitts, Hunter Henry at the flex, Nick Folk, and the Colts defense. On the bench, we got AJ Green, Jimmy G, Julio, Mike Davis, Antonio Brown, and Michael Thomas, who you can go ahead and drop unless you're hoping to keep him. But honestly, it's been several years since he's been good. You can probably throw him back and just redraft him next year. So Mike Davis against the Patriots. The Patriots just got ran on by who was it? Johnson last week, yeah. Durnest.
Yep.
He put up 157 all-purpose yards. So maybe Mike Davis. I mean, Cordell Patterson's probably not playing. If you wanted to get him in over Hunter Henry in the flex, I know Hunter Henry's been hot with the touchdowns, but he's also been getting 30 yards a week. So if he doesn't get that touchdown, then
do you think Mike Davis is still the starting back there?
I mean,
without Patterson,
he's not been getting a ton of carries. I give you that.
Wayne Gallman took over last week.
Wayne Gallman did have quite a few. This is true. And like looking at Mike Davis's stats in the last 4 weeks, he's been under 20 rush yards 3 of the 4 weeks. So
going back to our Ayuk discussion preseason, I think we were all pretty down on Mike Davis preseason, if I remember right.
I mean, I wasn't against it. It wasn't something that I was excited about, but I liked it only because I saw that as his backfield. There were no other options.
And now
except for a 30-year-old receiver / kick returner, apparently. I don't know, guys.
And now he's like the 4th option in the backfield. It makes no sense.
Yeah, because they signed Wayne Gallman like right before the season started. Like I think they had whoever their backup was like didn't make the cut, and they signed Wayne Gallman like 2 days before the first game.
It was a rookie running back who was projected to be more of a receiving back anyway, and he didn't make the roster. And so it was like Mike Davis and literally nobody else, I think, on the depth chart.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and Gallman got cut from the Niners right before the season started.
Right.
So
yeah, and they never have running back injuries. Yeah, so anyway, Julio being on IR is a bummer. Antonio Brown doesn't seem like he's coming back. Maybe he is. He's got that ankle issue that sounds like it's not great. Yahoo thinks he might play this week, but I'm not convinced. Keep an eye on it. If he's playing, you could make an argument for getting him into your lineup over Hunter Henry and Kyle Pitts both played Thursday night. I think he's probably going to stick with that. So it's a tough spot, but Walker doesn't have a ton of options.
I think AJ Green could be a sneaky play here, just if Murray looks like he's going to play and Hopkins looks like he's not.
Yeah. So you play him over Renfrow because you can't make the flex decision late if you're waiting on Murray news because he's playing both tight ends on Thursday.
Yeah, in theory,
that's the thing.
We might know on Thursday practice if Murray might play, so that could give him the in. But you're right.
That's
I think
true.
if we don't know for sure after the Thursday practice, you probably keep Henry in. But if we do know for sure, I think there's at least a discussion to be made.
Fair. All right, let's get to Robbie's team. Robbie's got Russell Wilson, Adam Thielen, Visca Chenault, Josh Jacobs, Myles Gaskin, Tyler Higbee on a bye, Adrian Peterson, Bass and Buffalo defense. On the bench, he's got Damian Harris, Darnell Mooney, Joe Burrow, Derrick Henry, still hurt, Odell Beckham Jr. On a bye on a new team, and then Ty Johnson on the Jets. So he's got to get his tight end sorted out, pick somebody up off of waivers. There's a couple of okay options out there. But, you're not going to be excited about starting Conklin or whatever when your opponent has Kyle Pitts. And then Adrian Peterson is probably getting benched for Damian Harris as long as he's good to go, which it sounds like he will be. He was back at practice today. So that one's an upgrade there. Mooney or Visca?
You have to play Mooney. Visca's been garbage.
And Mooney's been hot. I think that's an easy swap.
This guy's team is so bad. For being the top team in the league, this team, when you read it off, if you didn't know any better, this is a
competitive matchup between the worst team in the league and the best team in the league record-wise, and I don't know who I'm going to pick yet.
Right.
And it's not because of bye week issues for Robbie.
Yeah, I think, I mean, obviously some injuries have contributed to the way his team looks on paper. But I think you got to play Mooney here because he's got the connection with Fields on a Stafford Cup type level, except for the Bears. So not as good.
Not that level.
No. But that
it's
mental
the same
level.
Portion of a much smaller pie.
Yeah, mental level, not execution level. So I think that Mooney's definitely the pick there. But man, yeah, this looks like two naked teams trying to not be naked. And it's really weird that it's not, let alone it's best versus worst.
One last thing before we make our picks. Does any part of you want to consider starting Joe Burrow over Russell Wilson? Burrow's playing in Vegas and Wilson is at home against the Cardinals.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would consider it, and I'd probably do it after last week. And I know Green Bay's defense is good, but it was an ugly performance. They forced everything to Everett. And Everett's not that good. I don't know why he wasn't taking more shots to DK, taking more shots to Lockett, really trying to push that ball downfield, which that's what he does. He was throwing it, unless it was the injury really still hampering him, where he felt like he had to just get it out quick. But it looked bad. It looked ugly. There's nothing about Wilson that says, man, we have to start that guy. Burrow, at least he's got Higgins, he's got Chase. Vegas's defense is okay, but it's beatable.
And Burrow's a high volume guy. You can he's going to have a rough game here and there, but that he's going to go out and he's going to throw the ball. And Wilson was bad. I don't know how much of it was the Packers defense being really good, how much of it was him just not playing for the last month, and how much of it was really lingering issues with his hand. But I want to bench him this week. If I'm Robbie, I am playing Burrow and I am playing Mooney, and I'm benching Wilson and Chenault.
Yep.
Yeah, I think when you look at Wilson, the ceiling is probably higher for him, but he needs to show it to me first. And if I have a guy like Burrow available, there's no reason not to play him while you wait for Wilson to come back from that injury and show you he can play and push it downfield. So I'm not going to I feel like it's more of a risk to play Wilson and roll the dice to see if he just has healed enough all of a sudden. I'd rather play Burrow because I know he can throw it downfield and get the points. So I'm going to play Burrow because I know what can happen with him.
And then after Wilson doesn't throw the ball to DK's going to fight with somebody and be kicked out of the game anyway.
Yeah, and this isn't a case of well, I'm playing Walker, so I'm just going to go with the easy guy. Like Robbie needs points.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if you need points, you don't want to bet on Wilson giving you 8 points because he's not pushing it downfield. You go with the guy who you know is going to get you points, because otherwise you could easily lose this game. And as a fellow naked team, I need Walker to keep losing.
We cannot have that. No way.
Yeah. So let's make our picks, and then I want to talk about Robbie's team just for a minute because it's one of the things that I like to rant about.
Not doing it already?
Talk about his team? No, I mean like beyond just this week. Okay, so Boyer, who you got in this one?
Man, I think I'm picking Walker. I think we talked about the Dallas Chiefs game being maybe a bit of a shootout. He could have some points. Rodgers against Minnesota always seems to be really competitive and decently high scoring. That's going to have points. I'm going Walker on this one.
Assuming Robbie makes some solid changes here, I'm going to still go with Robbie, although I think this is way too close for what it is.
Yeah, I agree with Ty. I am going to go with Robbie, but it shouldn't be this close. Robbie got hurt with the Derrick Henry injury, which sucks. I get it.
But everybody has an injury. I mean,
right. And like Robbie's team has not been impressive. Thielen's done very well. Jacobs and Gaskin and Damian Harris have all been fine enough. Higbee's not been anything, and his wide receiver 2 hasn't been anything. It's been Odell Beckham Jr. or Mooney, which has been not terribly impressive fantasy wise, even though he is the number 1 on the Bears. And then Russell Wilson, Joe Burrow has been good enough at quarterback, but like at no point is Robbie's team scary without Derrick Henry. But what's been carrying him to all these wins has been the Buffalo kicker, the Buffalo defense, and Derrick Henry. And he's got 7 wins and 3 losses. He's the best team in the league record-wise. Robbie's next 3 games are Walker, Tyler, and Boyer. And he has currently set his team up by not making any moves to potentially lose, or at least potentially lose. I just said it. Any or all of those 3 games. Fryer's team is good. Fryer's team is 1 game behind Robbie's. Robbie had a big enough of a lead that he could have added 1 guy and probably coasted with the record that he has and the schedule that he has remaining and landed in the playoffs. Was he going to do anything in the playoffs? Probably not, but you make playoffs, you make money. You make playoffs, you get a shot to win the championship. And because Derrick Henry got hurt and he thinks the prices are too high, he's just sitting on his hands and saying, well, I don't want to lose anything from next year. Like, bitch, you have the best team in the league. There is a number 1 next to your name. And you're just going to piss that away. Like, he doesn't even want to make playoffs right now because he doesn't want to spend next year's money. And I agree, prices have been higher this year, but you don't even have to go out and get a top stud. Like, you don't have to go buy Saquon. You can do smaller moves.
You could have bought Gibson for cheaper than Saquon.
Yeah, there are pieces out there. He could have bought Amari Cooper off of Walker 3 weeks ago. Like, you can piece something together to where your team is good enough to beat these bad teams in these last few weeks of the season and coast into the playoffs running on fumes and hope that Derrick Henry comes back and can lead you to a win or 2. And maybe you luck into a championship there at the end, even though your team was hurting for most of the year. But he hasn't done any of that. And Fryer's catching up to him. He's only 1 game back. And if he loses to Walker or Tyler or Boyer or any multiple of those, then he's going to get laughed out of the contention this year for no reason because he had a solid lead on the rest of the division.
So we've all made picks on that matchup, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go. That kind of leads into who's your champion right now?
Still Charlie.
Did you listen to last week's podcast?
It was listed on the document at one point, so I just want to reiterate. Do you guys still think it's the same guy?
I'm sticking with Charlie and Walker for now.
I have changes.
I mean, at this point, I still think it's Charlie as well, as much as I hate to agree with Andy.
Okay. I had it as Colin. I'm going to stick with Colin.
Cool. So why are we talking about this again?
So then it leads into who's naked. And that's really where things have changed because Duo won. Ty is now in the running. Walker has Robbie this week. Robbie has everybody else this week. Who's naked?
Don't you dare say me.
It could be. I don't know. It could be a points thing too. Ty's got a solid lead in points.
Who's naked?
I'm sticking with Walker at this point. It might be you. I was between you and Walker, but I'm sticking with Walker.
Boyer, you and Walker and the duo are all three 100 points behind Ty. And granted, the duo is a game up on the three of you. So like that is.
But Ty is Ty.
I'm not arguing there.
So are you picking me?
No,
I'm curious now.
I'm sticking with Walker. But we talked about it last week. Ty's got the roughest division that he's got to go up against. So that's a bummer. But he also gets to play Robbie, which.
Right.
All right. I had Duo. That win that they got last week, that hurts.
It does.
So I'm gonna say it's me because I think that my team is complete crap. Walker's got like Amari Cooper, he's got Aaron Rodgers. I don't even have that. I don't see where I honestly don't see where I get to win the rest of the year. So I don't think it happens. So it's probably
you get to play Robbie.
That might be a win, but he also gets to play Walker and Ty. Walker, Ty, and does he get to play Duo?
Who does?
I think he's already played Duo. I play Duo next week.
We're not worried about the Robbie's schedule. We're worried about Walker's schedule at this point. He plays the Duo.
No, but Boyer means that Robbie is a beatable team for all these naked teams right now.
Right.
So the fact that Robbie's next three games are Walker, Ty, Boyer,
right. So
if Robbie shits the bed in two of those three, then that could impact the naked outcome.
Right. So it doesn't matter that I get to play Robbie because the other naked teams do too. So I'm going to assume, I think at my max at this point is 70 points in a week. And that's just, unless somebody pulls a Paul and scores 19 points or something stupid, I'm not winning. All right. So
don't put me into this. We are not talking this into existence, boys.
All right. So last question then, real quick. Does Robbie make playoffs?
No.
I want a prediction. I want a yes or a no.
No, Fryer beats him easy.
Ty? 5 games left. 5 weeks.
Fryer is 1 game back, and there's 5 games to go.
I understand. What is Fryer's schedule the rest of the night? Can you help me with that?
Yep. Fryer's got Paul and Chris, and then the 3 division matchups. So, but all right, hold on. Let's look at the picks. 2 for Fryer and 2 for Robbie. So we're giving them both an even chance of winning this week, even though Fryer's playing good teams and Robbie's not.
Right. And then Robbie has me and the duo left, or me and Walker.
You and Walker.
Mm-hmm. And Fry. So he could beat all 3 of us, and Fry could lose to Chris and Charlie or whoever else he has.
He could, but then I could go beat Robbie and lose to Fryer in the division.
Right. I mean,
Boyer could beat Robbie.
Right, but your answer to yes that he was going to miss was so quick that I don't know that I can answer it that quick.
I feel very confident.
I think Fryer has the better team, but Fryer has a hell of a harder time getting there because if Robbie can beat you and beat Boyer, it comes down to who wins the Robbie Fryer game and then division records and points.
Yeah. And Robbie's up a game in division record. So that is a point in his favor. I think that Fryer's team is so here's the sad thing. I think if Robbie adds one mid-level starter, receiver or running back, that his team is fine for his next 3 weeks against not great teams. And my opinion on this changes, but since he has shown very little effort of doing that, like he reached out to me to just ask what CD Lamb would be, and I said I paid 14 for him. I don't expect to get that back, was my response. Like effectively saying less than what I paid for him. And I have heard nothing, like not even a okay, thanks, or
Right.
I'll think about it, or that's too much for me, which I didn't even throw out a number. Like he didn't even, I wouldn't even consider that kicking the tires. So I don't think that Robbie's intending to make a move. And if he doesn't make a move, I think that this is Fryer's division.
If it's more than $3 to $5, he hasn't wanted to kick the tires on any.
Yep. And not for nothing, I could win the division.
But yes, I do.
I'm not gonna.
But
I
do think Fryer ends up winning that one, but I don't think it's quite as easy as you made it out to.
I mean, the schedules are a thing. I give it to you, but I think it's right, easily Fryer.
Boyer, where are you at on that?
I have Walker beating Robbie, so I think that pretty much answers my. I think that answers my own question. I just wanted to know where you guys were. I think I kind of got an idea where Andy was based on his Robbie needs to make a move discussion. But I think Ty, you brought up some good points as far as overall schedule going up. But Fryer's got a good enough team, I think, to work through that schedule. It might come down to a Fryer versus Robbie like divisional matchup at the end of the year. And if it does, Fryer's gonna should absolutely destroy him. So I have every confidence in Fryer, which sounds super weird. I really don't like it. That being said, I think that's pretty much all we had for tonight.
Well, why don't
Ty, I'm gonna let you finish up.
Why don't you shoot down to the middle division? Who's going to win that? Who's going to win that tight race? Who's coming out in the middle? If we're taking predictions,
we may as well do them all. Yeah.
All right. Middle division. Colin, Paul, Chris are all at 6 and 4. Ty's at 3 and 7. I've got Colin winning it all. So I'm going to throw out that Colin probably wins the division. We'll say Paul gets wild card.
I'm not completely out of it yet, though. Hold on.
Ty is naked. No. There, I said it out loud for you, Ty. The curse is broken.
All right. Andy, what do you got in the middle?
I've got Paul coming out of the middle. I just can't. Any of them could do it, right? And Paul has an unnecessary quarterback, but that doesn't make his team worse. It just makes his team stupid. So Paul's going to win. Paul has to win. If Paul doesn't win, I feel so bad for the guy. He's trying so hard.
So do you think wild card's coming out of there, and who's it going to be?
Colin has a 58-point lead on Chris right now. I like Chris's team better than Colin's. So I'm going to lean Chris, acknowledging that he's at a bit of a deficit, but I checked schedules and they're all roughly equivalent. So if I were going to pick, I would say Paul wins the division and Chris is the wild card.
Okay. I was going to flip it. I'd say Chris wins the division, Paul ends up in wild card.
It's a tough one.
Colin
has a very good team.
I've got Colin division, Paul wild card. It could be flips. I like Colin's team because JTT and Najee Harris have been an absolute rock for him so far this year. They're weirdly quarterback dependent for running backs, but I think as long as their teams stay healthy, that they will lead Colin to the playoffs. And I think once they get there, he'll have enough juice.
Yeah, I think that Paul and Chris both have significantly better receivers than Colin, and at least in Paul's case, much better quarterback. Stafford's good, but he's mid-level fantasy good. He's a QB 6, and that's right in line with where Dak is. In my eyes, those two can be pretty interchangeable, but the Mahomes and Josh Allen combo is a leg up there. So I think that gives Paul the edge.
So bottom division, it's going to be between Charlie and Jeremy. No wild card coming out of that based on what we just said. Who wins the division?
Well, we both said Charlie's winning the championship, so I can only imagine we're going to take Charlie.
Yeah, I still go with Charlie. I like that Jeremy added Tyreek Hill. It's anybody's game right now. I mean, Fryer's tied for wild card as it is. He's way behind in points. But Fryer, non-division winners, leaders right now. Fryer's 6-4, Paul is 6-4, Chris is 6-4, Jeremy's 6-4. That's 4 teams that are tied for wild card right now. I'm only 2 games back of wild card, guys. Keep an eye on that. So in the same way that me not picking Colin to make the playoffs out of that division doesn't mean very much at all. Me not picking Jeremy to win this division or make wild card doesn't mean very much at all. There's still a few days before the trade deadline, I believe is Saturday. So a lot could happen there.
Jeremy and Charlie, to throw it out there, Jeremy and Charlie do both get to play Walker and duo, where Chris, Colin, and Paul have to fight it out.
That is a great point. So that's a huge advantage for Jeremy for wild card.
Right.
If Colin and Paul and Chris are splitting those games and dragging each other down, Jeremy and Charlie could sneak past them for the wild card, even if their team isn't quite as good, just because they get the 2 cake matchups. So
right. Yep.
I haven't looked at the rest of everybody's schedule to memorize what the next 2 weeks look like for everyone, but that is a great point, Ty.
Just when it comes to division, my division's going to kill each other in the end, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Jeremy takes this division. I think adding Tyreek is probably what pushes him over Charlie.
Charlie has Kelsey.
I mean, that's nice, but Kelsey hasn't been the massive advantage that he's been in the past.
Still an advantage, though. Although Jeremy has Mark Andrews, who's tight end number 2. But got to go with my boy.
All right. Anyway, now that we've gone through divisions, Boyer, I can confidently say it again this week. Like I said, the duo last week, you suck. Didn't work out well last week for me, but you suck. You're going to lose. I need this one. Everybody else, win, lose, tie, don't really care. Enjoy your fantasy week. And we'll catch back up with you guys next week. See ya.